Dry footing, guys. So why do we do this, okay? The reason for this is because if you put too many thick layers of glaze on, the glaze will run in the kiln, okay? Another reason why is too, kind of out of your hands, is some of these colors just tend to run. It's just their chemical makeup. So what happens a lot of times when they go into the kiln, if you have one of those two situations, that glaze will, when it's fired, just kind of run down. It'll run down and it'll go onto the kiln shelf. So if you kind of imagine this sitting inside of a kiln. It'll do two things. It will cause your project to stick to the kiln shelf. The other thing is too is that if we do successfully get it off, you'll get these like little globs of glass literally sitting at the base that are really sharp, and then they have to be grinded down. So this is an important step, okay? But this is also a step that a lot of kids end up making some mistakes on, so make sure that you don't do that. So I've got this finished one right there, and this one right here that is not finished. This is Kingston's, okay? So if you guys look, this is not done. All right, so I'm gonna show you how to do that. So first thing I do is, if you can, put your hand inside your project like this so you can hold on to it. You wanna have access to the very bottom, and you're literally gonna just stand here at a sink with the water running, okay? So I'm gonna talk while the water's running. What you wanna do, you wanna grab one of these sponges. You wanna make sure that you kind of rinse it off, okay? There we go. And you wanna take out all of the water out of the sponge, okay? So you don't want it dripping with water. For a couple reasons. If the water does drip on your project, it's not really a big deal. But what happens a lot of times is that when that glaze does get wet, if you rub up against it, you're going to remove it. So that's why that part's important. So all I'm going to do is just take this sponge. First thing I'm going to do is just wipe off all the glaze that might be on the very, very bottom of this, okay? And this just probably happened, you know, while you guys are glazing one of your layers. It's not a big deal. And I constantly go back and forth to the sink to rinse off my sponge to clean it off. Now, if you have one of the red colored glazes, doesn't mean that you actually have red in your final product, but if it's red right now, you'll notice that that glaze will stain your clay a lot. That's not a problem, okay? So you can even tell here how that's starting to stain as I'm wiping it off. That's not a problem. What you want to get rid of is the big glops and sort of sections of glaze on the bottom. So you're just going to keep doing that until it's gone, okay? So just keep going back and forth to the sink, wash off your sponge. I keep kind of like rotating the sponge to a clean edge to just wipe off more, but he still has some more work to do. Now, if you have any glaze that got stuck in little nooks and crannies, what you'll need to do is grab an X-Acto blade and literally chip it out. So you may have to do that on some of that. Now, to get the bisque showing on the outside, okay, just like the image there and just like this one right here, okay, what I do, take my sponge and I just basically take it up. I kind of push the sponge up against there just enough to kind of wrap itself around that edge, and then I just wipe it off. You want a 1/2 inch thick, a 1/2 inch, okay? If you have to, get a ruler and look at what a 1/2 inch looks like, but a 1/2 inch of bisque showing. Now, this is where some kids got a little zealous with this. They took off too much and then they had to repaint layers of glaze right at the bottom of their project. So, do not take too much off, okay? You will find yourself having to repaint it. So you can see how that looks. And again, I just keep rotating this sponge around until it's done. Now, you should be able to put it on the table and then see a 1/2 inch all the way around. And when you see that, that's when it's done, okay? When you think you're done, let me see it. I'll check it, and then we're gonna get it in line for the kiln, okay? So that's it. All right? All right.